Did the PFL get screwed?
What's up, guys?
Did the PFL get screwed? Francis fought one time there. Remember he signed at 23. It was the biggest deal of all time. He was going to be an ambassador for fighters. His opponents were going to get paid very well. But he boxed more than he actually fought MMA. So did the PFL get screwed?
Yeah, I think it looks like the PFL got screwed. It looks like they weren't happy with the deal. They probably overpaid Francis for that first MMA fight. And then he was boxing, and they weren't willing to pay him again. They realized they didn't get the numbers that they needed to. So it looks like they're moving on.
All right, so Francis Ngannou has officially completed the biggest fleece in MMA history, seeing as he's finally been released by the PFL after making them spend probably 100 times more than he made for them. In the 3 years of being a PFL fighter, he fought one singular time to the tune of $10 million while also being given equity in the company, which is absolutely insane. Not to mention, he made them create PFL Africa, where he only showed up to one of the 3 events that took place on African soil, even though he literally lives in Africa. And immediately upon gaining his freedom from the PFL, he's moved on to fighting under Jake Paul's MMA organization, where he's going to be fighting Felipe Lins on Netflix. Like, what is going on here? You know, I really thought that Francis was going to do the PFL a solid and fight one last time against some fat no-name just to show he's somewhat a decent person, but instead he ran out the clock on his contract so that they were forced to let him go. Listen, I don't like the PFL. They've done a lot of shady shit to a lot of their fighters, including not paying many of their tournament winners the $1 million they promised them, but 2 wrongs do not make a right. These guys gave every single accommodation imaginable to sign Francis, not even as a fighter, but as a business partner, and instead of helping grow the PFL, he ruined them financially, and yeah, in this video I'm going to be talking about all this and more.
Do you feel like that was a failure? Do you feel good about your time there? How do you reflect on that?
You know, we can say whatever we want. I have a 2-fight year. I didn't fight that, but eventually I knew that at some point I'm gonna get off of that, right? And then yes, I didn't fight the 2 fight. It didn't go the way that I didn't happen to have the second fight, which I wanted to have it, but I think I had a great run with the PFL. We had a great relationship all along this time, and then yes, it's business. It didn't work out for some reason. They couldn't put on the second fight.
What is this guy talking about? For some reason the second fight never happened. Dude, you're the reason the second fight never happened. You mean to tell me that since your first PFL fight in October 2024, you couldn't find the time throughout 2025 to make another fight happen against any fighter of your choosing? I mean, he was able to make 2 boxing fights happen within 5 months of each other, but he's somehow not able to schedule a second MMA fight within 15 months of his fight against Renan Ferreira. The way Francis answers this question almost makes it seem like the PFL was being hard to work with and getting another fight set up for him, but I find that impossible to believe considering the lengths they went through in order to acquire this guy. I suppose maybe they weren't able to find the $10 million to pay him, but I also find that hard to believe, seeing as they must have allocated budget aside to make sure they could pay him for his 2 fights when they signed him. Like, the PFL knew that they owed him $20 million when he joined. Moreover, the PFL, much like the UFC, is in bed with the Saudis, and $10 million is legitimately nothing to them. I do not believe for one singular moment that the PFL was not interested in having Francis complete the stipulations of his contract. He was by far and away the biggest asset that they had, so I'm positive they're pretty pissed off at him for not holding up his end of the bargain, and I don't blame him. The PFL gave this guy the sun and the stars to join their organization, even going as far as giving him an executive position where I'm sure he was given a salary to make 0 decisions, and in return he only fulfilled maybe half of what he promised.
You've ruined your legacy because we haven't seen you fight. Boxing.
Give me a definition of legacy.
Your lasting memory in the sport, I guess, is maybe what they would
Like
say.
who?
Muhammad Ali?
Like Muhammad Ali. Okay, let me tell you what's the legacy. My legacy right now is my kids back home, is my family back home, getting health care, getting security, being able to put food on the table, being able to put roof on their head. That's a better legacy. You can have the Muhammad Ali legacy or whatever you want. If your kid cannot attend to school, he has no place in the society. If your kid doesn't have food in the stomach, that legacy doesn't help you for anything. You cannot go to the store or to the gas station or to at school and pay the scholar fee with a legacy. You have to understand that this is a bullshit that promotion trick fighter with, and they're all out there fighting for legacy. Good for you. Keep the legacy, give me my pay.
Okay, I totally get where he's coming from, and I would imagine that a lot of other fighters would agree with him as well. I would argue that outside of the very top level fighters in the sport, money means more to them than their legacy. Take Renato Moicano, for example. He's a popular fighter, people like him, but even he has to know that he's not going to be a Muhammad Ali type of figure whose name is remembered for generations to come. Moicano is constantly talking about how money's the most important thing for him, and in a sport where only 2 or 3 guys out of a given generation of fighters will have a lasting legacy, there's nothing wrong with prioritizing getting paid over becoming a legend. But in regards to Ngannou Ngannou's statement here, if you're in the rare position like he is where he can have both, why not try to have both? Like, dude, you can provide for your family while also being a good business partner, you know what I'm saying? The reporter references that fans are disappointed in him not fighting, then Francis replies that it's all about the money for him, as if he didn't have another $10 million waiting for him if he fought again for the PFL. I mean, clearly he's making more than $10 million to fight on Netflix, so in that sense, it's not as though he's being a hypocrite or anything, but my point is, legacy and money are not mutually exclusive. You can have both. Also, on the topic of kids, I respect that his priority right now is to make it so that his family never has to experience any sort of financial struggles, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I don't have kids myself, so maybe I'm tripping here, but I also feel like an important aspect of fatherhood is setting a good example for your children. I'm not gonna sit here and say that Francis is a bad dad or anything, because obviously I have no idea how he acts behind closed doors, but at the same time, I personally wouldn't like the idea of knowing that my dad very clearly went back on his word to a company that sacrificed so much to acquire him. Like, leaving a company that clearly doesn't give a shit about you is fine. Hell, I've done it a couple of times myself, but the PFL was good to Francis. They went above and beyond what we've seen any other MMA organization has ever done for a fighter to try and make him happy. If that's the way he treats a company that actually tried to look out for him, then that's pretty fucked up.
What does this say about the PFL in 2026? I think it says that, you know, they've got a new regime, they've got a new vision, a new voice, and they're trying to be smart about where they're at as they head into this new media rights deal, and he just didn't fit those plans, and that's all right. But he did get paid very well for that one fight. If you want to call that a mistake, you know, I know the Saudis helped out in that regard. I don't think the company is any worse for wear because of that deal. It was just a deal that made sense at the moment, and now I guess it doesn't make sense. So here we go. Let's see where he goes next.
I swear, there are some fighters that Ariel will simply never criticize, even when they're completely in the wrong, and Francis is one of them. How can he say that it wasn't a massive mistake by the PFL to sign Ngannou after we've all seen the way this played out in real time? You know what? Actually, no. Ariel's right. This was not a mistake. This was a fucking disaster. Ariel, I get that you and Francis both hate Dana, but you can't let your hate for Baldy get in the way of what's left of your journalistic integrity. Your friend royally fucked over the PFL, which, by the way, is the same organization that you swore would topple the UFC. So I don't know where Ariel's loyalties lie, because if he really did care about the sport of MMA the way he says he does, then he shouldn't be so forgiving of Ngannou scamming the shit out of a major promotion.
Question for Francis. Not too long ago, there were rumblings that you were potentially going to fight the man over there, Jake Paul, in boxing. That fell through. But now that you're here at MVP, there's MMA. Are you interested in fighting Jake Paul? And Jake, with a head nod, you want to do it?
No, I'm not interested in fighting Jake Paul.
Never mind, Jake.
Listen, I'm not done. I'm interested in beating his ass.
Oh! Whoa,
no fighting him.
Okay, just beating his ass. Interesting.
Yes.
Is this really what his career has come to now? Ngannou went from being the boogeyman of the UFC heavyweight division to becoming the heavyweight champion to nearly fighting Jon Jones, and now he's out here calling out Jake Paul? This definitely feels like a bit of a fall from grace, but hey, as we already know, Francis no longer cares about career accolades anymore, he only wants paydays. Look, I'm not gonna tell another grown-ass man what he should be doing with his career, but it is disappointing to see how his career is unfolding. I am hoping that Netflix can slowly establish themselves as a rival to the UFC so that maybe we could see him fight some legitimate competition again, but I feel like if that day ever does come, it's pretty far down the future.
There's a little bit of validation now from Dana and the UFC saying, like, you know, what Don Davis and the PFL are having to go through. Yeah. And we set this up for you. You wanted this, and we're happy. We're happy
you asked for it.
We're happy to do it. That's the thing. We're delivering what you asked for, and then you didn't show. And then let you know that he just doesn't know what he's doing when it comes to the promotion side of it. You're a fighter. Be a fighter.
Damn it, I hate to say it, but I think I have to admit that it seems like Dana was right about this guy. Francis is actually a hard person to work with, and he's probably not that great of a person. It's obvious at this point that he's a pain in the ass when it comes to business, but the way that he did the PFL is just not something that good people do. That's not how good people treat others. Now, what I will say is that I still don't believe that Francis ever got physical with Dana like he claimed. Shout out to all the people that commented, well, this didn't age well on the video that I made about it a couple of months ago. Yes, Francis had that train wreck of an interview with Ariel where for some reason he didn't deny that he put his hands on Dana, which was weird, but like a week later, Dana changed key aspects of the story.
You've made it clear how toxic that relationship got. You brought up the story about the physicality and everything like that. Is there a world where you guys work together again? You think it's...
Let me be clear on something too. When I say the physicality, it's not like Francis Ngannou came in here and like threatened us. you know, or did anything like that. But
regardless, I am a man enough to admit when I'm wrong about things, and it seems like I was indeed wrong about Francis being a stand-up dude who wanted what's best for the sport of MMA. The last 3 years have taught me that he's just another selfish athlete that was willing to screw over an entire company just to get his own way. It's funny, when Ngannou left the UFC, he said it wasn't about money, it was about freedom. Well, he was given the most generous contract ever, where not only was he paid handsomely, but he was also given the freedom to take 2 high-profile boxing fights. And even in spite of that absurd level of freedom in his contract, he still couldn't hold up his end of the bargain to the PFL. Now, I'm not going to go as far to say that I hate Francis now or anything, but as Dana said about Francis himself, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Anyways, that's the video for today. Definitely let me know your thoughts on Francis Ngannou. Where do you think his career even goes from this point forward? As always, if you like the video, then like the video, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. I appreciate you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.
By the way, Jake, do you share that sentiment? Do you want to fight him? He said he wants to beat your ass.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm down. I've always been down. You were the option before Anthony Joshua, and you ran like a duck. And I bet you didn't think I would last longer than you did with Anthony either. So you just know that you get worked in boxing, and I would love to see it someday.
No, I think you were just being a small boy, like not understanding, being a little disrespectful, and that's why I want to kick your ass now. I really didn't want to fight you, but now I want to beat you. So there's a difference.
Let's do it.
And that's why I hold the statement that I want